Yesterday, 25 civil society organizations in Nigeria converged on Abuja to protest the delay by President Muhammadu Buhari to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The CSOs gathered at the Unity Fountain in the city and urged the President to sign the legislation within the 30-day timeframe and thereafter propose any amendments if he so desired, as he did with the Petroleum Industry Act. Also, in a tweet yesterday, Atedo Peterside, chairman of the ANAP Foundation, urged Buhari to sign the Electoral Bill so that Nigerians can give him the credit for having done something tangible in the area of electoral reforms. Based on some issues raised by the President with the legislation, the National Assembly had reworked the bill and retransmitted it to him for his approval late last month. However, his seeming reluctance to assent to the bill has heightened concern that he is not favourably disposed to electoral reforms and the conduct of credible elections. Since 2018, Buhari has rejected the legislation 3 times, now joining us, actually 4 times, now joining us from Abuja to present their concerns over the delay in the approval of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and if they can pressurize the legislature to override the President in the event that he rejects the legislation for a 5th time is Auwal Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Rafsanjani, and good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. Good morning, all.
Good morning. Well, okay. It's the morning after the protest at the Unity Fountain in Abuja yesterday, where I saw you, Samson Atedo, NLB, Yemi Adamolekun, and other stakeholders in civil society, demanding that the President must sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill yesterday, February 22, not the day after. But, well, this is the morning after. The President has not done so. Because I suspect, as Femi Adesina, his spokesperson, pointed out, within the framework of the law, he still has up to March 1 to sign or, return the bill or whatever. So why was it so important that he must sign yesterday when, the constitutional provision has not elapsed? And the Section 24 that the CSOs are referring to, that's just a clause 24 in the proposed bill. So how do you want, force his hands, over a bill that has not even become law? Over to you.
Thank you very much. Every Nigerians and even those international community, they are watching and they're really expressing concern that there appears to be calculated attempt by some group of people who actually benefited from, or that are benefiting from democracy, to even truncate the democracy itself by refusing to allow electoral transparency to succeed in Nigeria. Democracy, one of the pillars of democracy is to have a credible, free, fair election. And if you don't have the legal framework in place to do it, you will continue to have an election that many Nigerians in the past have complained about, including the President Muhammadu Buhari, who in some instances, in fact, one of the occasion, he was even crying because of what he considered or what he called electoral fraud in Nigeria. Now that God has given him opportunity to help address those challenges, those fraud, those situation in our electoral system that made it impossible for us to have free, fair, and credible election. This is the 7th year out of 8 years. They need to remember that there's no time. Time is running out because the same president that we expected him to send Electoral Amendment Bill to the National Assembly, in the last 7 years, he has not initiated anything, which for me, it's counterproductive to the even mantra of the fight against corruption. Because political corruption is one of the major corruption that we are seeing in Nigeria, and that led us to where we are in terms of insecurity, in terms of loss of value system, in terms of hopelessness in the society, lack of job, and all sorts of tension and crisis. So therefore, we did not think that somebody who just recently said he wanted to leave a legacy. If you want to leave a legacy, you cannot leave a legacy that tomorrow people would look at it as a negative legacy. Because before you realize, the last year of your tenure would have come and you have not been able to do anything tangible to address a very key important issue that you wanted to do. Look at what Atedo has done. When Atedo came and he saw there was a challenge, there were some challenges on his election, he confessed and told the whole world that the election that brought him, there were some inadequacies. And he went ahead to assemble credible, responsible, patriotic Nigerians to work on what we call waste report. And in it, a lot of beautiful recommendations were given for any serious government to take and improve the electoral process. Again, the 2014 National Conference, where many Nigerians were assembled, they came up with so many beautiful ways to address the gaps that we have in our electoral system. Nothing has been done with that report. And 7 years after being in power, nothing seems to be happening. As a matter of fact, on record, Buhari has actually not assented to the bill that has been amended 5 times from the last assembly to the current assembly. And I thought what you will actually preoccupy yourself is to ensure that, because people who are coming to government to steal are coming through political and election process. And therefore, one of the easiest ways to do in terms of fighting corruption is political corruption, because grand corruption are happening from the people that are involved in the political cycle. So if the president is not able to do this now, and given the fact that he had just returned the bill to National Assembly with some observation and demanding that National Assembly should address those things, and they did that, Nigerians overwhelmingly supported and endorsed the fact that we need to have sound electoral system that can guarantee free and fair election, and that will eliminate to some extent the vote buying, the perpetual electoral violence, the rigging that we are seeing, that we have seen that exclusion of women and people with disability has continued to be the order. I thought this is the greatest legacy that you will do in order to sanitize governance, because corruption are happening in the country, and one of the ways to tackle it is through political corruption. And if you then think that is not an issue, then I think there is a whole question mark on really understanding on how to deal with corruption in Nigeria. So therefore, we are worried and concerned that as of yesterday will have marked a remarkable history in this country when the president is able to assent to that bill, so that INEC can have enough time, INEC can be able to plan, INEC can be able to conduct an election with new electoral act that will have ushered on into a more better election, staying away from the analog election where some politicians are thumbprinting. So the greater implication of this is that if the president is not able to take action within the time space that he has, which remains 7 days now, yesterday would have been better, because INEC did not need to shift the election based on the new Electoral Act Amendment. But as it is today, even if the president signed the bill today, he had already tampered with the proposed Electoral Amendment Act that allows INEC to have election in 2023 in February. So having said that, we still think we have a window of opportunity for Mr. President to right the wrong, because if he's able to assent the bill today, and if he still has some concern, he could just send a supplementary, he could just send an amendment bill to the National Assembly for them to address, like we have seen in the previous legal framework. But keeping quiet and making it look as if you did not care is really a worried and concern, and it's a threat to democracy. It's a threat to the freedom of choice. It's a threat to credible electoral process in Nigeria. And Nigeria is supposed to be leading other countries. So if we are not doing the right thing, how do you lead other countries?
Well, because you said mentioned earlier, pillars of democracy. What is your take on those who say that the president has said that he will sign directly and through his spokesperson, and that the protest yesterday will only serve to discourage him from doing so because it would amount to pressure? What does that say about the kind of democracy that we have here in Nigeria now?
You know, sometimes some of these paid spokespersons of government who don't have respect for Nigerians and the democracy, it's really sad that you are collecting a lot of money from government, from the public taxpayers' money, and you are doing things that you are actually mocking and provoking Nigerians. Do you know how much Nigerians have suffered to get this democracy? Some of us were jailed, some of us were expelled, some of us were detained, brutalized, simply because we wanted democracy. We wanted freedom of choice. And then somebody who is already enjoying, benefiting tremendously, traveling with the president all over, collecting escort and per diem, and enjoying all sorts of privilege of government, now is coming to attack innocent Nigerians who simply say, we need to do the right thing. I think some of the spokespersons of the government, they need to be sensitive, they need to be responsible, and they need to respect Nigerians. You cannot come and be mocking Nigerians. Nigerians have spoken. They came to the public hearing, they came to various meetings, and they have the right to demand that the president do the right thing. If some of the assistants of the president are misleading him, they are only misleading him to catastrophe of history. So we believe that the way and manner in which some of these spokespersons are talking, they don't care about democracy, they don't care about Nigeria, and they don't care about even the president. Because if they care about the president's reputation, they will not be making this talk. So you say because the process will only discourage him from signing. This is the president that was voted by Nigerians. And Nigerians say, this is what we want. If they don't understand democracy, they should go back and read and understand what democracy is all about. Democracy is about people. Democracy is about doing the right thing. And you cannot perpetually refuse to do the right thing and you think that you are doing correct thing. I think the president should realize that some of the people that they are so-called working for him, they are actually undermining him. They are making him to look like a bad person in the history in this country. And therefore, I urge the president to wake up from whatever slumber to make sure that those people who are sycophant, who are destroying him, who are making him look as if he don't care about even the democracy itself that brought him to power, he should send them away because they don't mean well for him. I want to say that on behalf of Nigerian civil society, the statement is absolutely a provoke of the Nigerian sensitivity, and that I urge him to withdraw that statement because you should remember they have only 1 year to go. After 1 year, where is he going to put his face? He will be in a shame. So he should try and redeem his face, his image too, because tomorrow he will regret what he is saying. Nigerians will see him and continue to see him as somebody who has threatened them, who has threatened democracy, who has, even gave wrong advice to the president. And therefore, I think it is necessary, president, to ignore those people. Let president work with the popular views of Nigerians who voted him, some of the people that voted him, some of the people that did not vote him, but is their president. Let him work with their advice, which is patriotic, which is, meant good for improving electoral system in Nigeria. Not people who are just benefiting and they are trying to truncate the system. We should not be allowing those people, few of them, to truncate millions of Nigerians who wish to have a proper electoral system that will eliminate violence, that will eliminate fraud, that will eliminate manipulation, that will eliminate people with stolen money, with money laundering, with people who are engaged in illicit financial flow to come and buy up elected position using their money, or use some instances, use the security agent to repress and oppress Nigerians from choosing their unpopular candidate. I think it is important that if we are talking about legacy, and if we want to be responsive and responsible in our own way of advising our leaders, to advise the president to, as a matter of urgency, sign this Electoral Act, even if it is the only thing that president will do to save his name from bad image that some of these people generated for him, from the issue of insecurity to the issue of the fight against corruption, to the issue of job creation, to the issue of poor infrastructure. All these are issues that if the president is able to do this one now, Nigerians can simply bear with what has happened to them in the last 7 years. But any attempt not to do this will draw us back.
Mr. Rafsanjani, so as we speak today, Dito, he's not signed the bill. What next?
Well, for us as civil society, we are non-violent organizations. We don't advocate for violence. We don't do anything capable of undermining the country or doing anything that will bring tension in the country. What we will continue to do is to continue to talk to the government, talk to the president, to do the right thing. And this, we have been doing that. We've been engaging on this electoral amendment in the last 7 years since this administration resumed, took over. We have been working to ensure that we have system. We are not politicians. I'm not politician, and I am not, a paid agitator. I am doing this simply, and many of my colleagues, we are doing this simply because we wish our country to get out of this, quagmire of electoral fraud, perpetual electoral fraud, which is threatening democracy, which is threatening Nigerians from even participating in the electoral process. Do you know that many Nigerians are not participating in the election because the process is, marred with fraud, with violence, with exclusion, with marginalization? There's no way we can say we are practicing democracy when many, number of Nigerians, more than the number, you can think of, that you have as a registered voter are not even, participating because the electoral system is not giving the room to allow people to decently participate in the process. A lot of people have been complaining about marginalization of people with disability. You cannot be having democracy. Millions of Nigerians are alienated. Women want to participate, but they have been harassed, intimidated, by so many violent people with their male chauvinism. So many young people who wanted to, participate, they are not able to participate because they will bring, some talks to dismantle the process. A lot of Nigerians, decent Nigerians, want to participate, and they are not able to participate because the electoral process is such that you just have to be a rascal to be, to find your way. But not every Nigerian wants to be like that. People want to decently participate to ensure that they have the right to choose whoever they want him or her to govern them. We are not in the military dictatorship. Even during the military, there's a, they used to meet and democratically take decisions within themselves. Why is it that it's so different now? All the ministers that are sitting with Muhammadu Buhari today, in the meeting, they behave one kind. Outside the meeting, they come and start gossiping. Why can't you tell the president the truth? That is why he appointed you. Many of them are not happy with the way things are going, but they are not able to talk, and they are not able to resign. For goodness sake, if you know you cannot do the right thing, why can't you just tell the president, sorry, sir, I cannot continue because I have integrity to protect. I have a name to protect tomorrow, and my children will cost me tomorrow if I don't advise rightly. If we can evoke that kind of thing in our system, we will reform so many things. We will not allow impunity to be going on and allow some few characters who are enjoying democracy, but at the same time trying to truncate democracy.
Well, Rafsanjani, I see you've been listening to some gossip about the president, but I'm not going to ask you to share some of the gossips on her. But quickly, I want to ask you, there was this publication by Enough is Enough about 10 major provisions in the Electoral Bill as proposed, which Enough says, these are even more compelling reasons why the bill should be assented to very quickly. Do you want to identify some of those provisions beyond all this talk about Clause 84?
Actually, Enough is Enough and Fix Nigerian Politics, as well as many civil society groups, during the public hearing, identify and itemize many provisions in the new amendment, including INEC, that has actually provided a lot of resource for National Assembly on the way to improve the election in Nigeria. So this has to do also with transformation, electronic transmission of the results. This also has to do with the fact that the way and manner in which even the issues of logistic are handled is also one of the things that those recommendations, those suggestions also address. The issues of political financing, the limit, is also one of those things that have been identified. So there are a number of issues. Enough is enough at being able to identify some of those key recommendations. Fixed Nigerian Politics also identify some of those things. And I think, a lot of civil society like Transition Monitoring Group, Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, and quite a number of civil society, they all have consensus on some of those issues, and in fact identify with INEC because INEC had actually had a elaborate recommendation to improve the electoral fraud because they are the one operationalizing it, and they saw the danger based on this suggestion and recommendation by civil society, and they were able to put those recommendations before the National Assembly. And National Assembly, I can assure you that, have taken almost all those recommendations to improve electoral reform in Nigeria. The question is that, why is it that the presidency and those who are advising him or misadvising him, why is it that they have not come up with their own bill 7 years ago? They have not come with anything. So 5 times you are giving amended Electoral Act Amendment. You just simply ignore it. That's how we ended up with analog election in 2019, where a lot of those problems that we've been talking about since the 1999 election continue to happen.
On that note,
I think it is important. It is time now for us to remove all this impunity.
Thank you, Rafsanjani.
Of the popular wish and aspiration of Nigerians.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Auwal Rafsanjani, for joining us on The Morning Show.